Welcome to Performance Driven Living, the podcast where we question everything. We don't tiptoe around tough topics, we walk right into them. Not to provoke, but to get closer to what's real. You might not agree with everything you hear, and that's okay. The show isn't about being right, it's about being real. These conversations are meant to stretch your thinking, challenge assumptions, and spark something deeper. The views shared are those of our guests and may not reflect those of the host or team. And while we dive deep into health, performance, and transformation, this is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor before making changes to your health or lifestyle. Take what lands, leave what doesn't. But whatever you do, don't stop questioning.
We are here at the Changing Life and Destiny Conference in Plano, Texas with Performance Driven Living, and I have the honor of talking to these gentlemen here. This is Rick Anson, and you all probably know Dr. Fab Mancini, and they are here with a product. I listened to you guys talk the other day, and a product called BrainIQ. And I'll be honest with you, like, I'm all into this. The whole purpose behind performance-driven living in our audience is how do we show up better tomorrow than we did today? Like, how do I just, that you hear everybody talk about that 1%, kind of thing, like 1% better, 1% better. Awesome. Like, I love that. But if there's a way in life to show up better, to outperform yesterday, to become better, and I don't care if it's running, I don't care if it's juggling, right? Like, I want to do it better than I did yesterday. And sometimes that is a learning, and sometimes that's an unlearning, right? There's things we think we understand already, but we don't. And we kind of just don't even know what should I believe and what should I not believe. And I listened to your talk and I listened to you talk on this, Rick, and I was like, all right, you got some interesting things here, and I'm thrilled to hear about this. So let's jump in. You tell me, introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, thank you, Rick Anson, co-owner of BrainIQ Health with Dr. Fab Mancini. And we have created 6 global product categories to help reverse and end chronic diseases, which is a very big statement. And
he's not saying that to the FDA. That's only for listeners.
Well, help.
Exactly.
Reverse.
He's supporting.
That's right. Supporting. And part of that is one of the product categories is BrainIQ product line, which consists of sugar-free vegan gummies, capsules, and the new drink called BrainIQ and Goated. And I love your entry about peak performance, right? Because I played collegiate soccer, and I was over in Europe playing semi-pro soccer for 2 years, and I was always looking for that performance edge. And this is a while ago, right? Before biohacking and optimization, everything was in, and people knew what to do. So my whole life I've been searching for products that would give you a mental edge or a physical edge. And I found that 20 some years ago, these novel ingredients out of pharmaceutical companies, because they had done all the $1 million worth of research in novel ingredients that would have a efficacy and have some sort of function in the body. So I've been working with companies like that for over 20 years, and then created the BrainIQ product line based upon a lot of the evidence-based ingredients that have worked in those types of products.
Let me ask you a question. You're using the word evidence-based ingredients. Are we talking natural ingredients, or are we talking synthetic ingredients? Because I think there's a difference that a lot of people don't know, particularly when we're talking about the difference between a nutraceutical versus a pharmaceutical.
Yeah, these are all natural ingredients.
Okay.
But we're pulling, there are some ingredients that have been used in drug therapy products that are natural.
Yeah, you're just standing on the shoulders of giants in that respect.
Absolutely. And taking the best, right? The best in class ingredients from bioscience companies or pharmaceutical companies or nutraceutical companies, and taking them and putting them into this very unique product line. And I love that you talked about, thought leaders and people who talk about performance. And I traveled around for about 4 years to all these different thought leader seminars talking about peak performance and ways to amplify your brain. But I always thought, why is there not a physical product set that was clinically proven that would help people achieve what they're teaching.
Now, Rick, I have to say this because no offense to you, but I only know who you are because we're here this weekend at Changing Life and Destiny. But to your left is a legend. And Dr. Fab, I want you to comment on this idea because you've been around this stuff for so long. You know the nootropic space, you know the nutraceutical space, you know the pharmacology space. Truthfully, in all of this, I'm curious. What is it about being involved? Because I know you wouldn't lend your name to something that you didn't obviously believe in. What sets this apart in your mind? Why this and not any of another 100 vendors that are here at this conference?
Well, I've been in this space, as you mentioned, for 38 years. And one of the things that I always look for is two things. Number one, the evidence base, right? Because in today's world, we have to be very careful that we consume products that have been proven scientifically to work. That's one of the most important things. But number two is the compliance. As a doctor, I may recommend to my patients something, but then all of a sudden they do it for the first month, but they won't do it the second month, and they definitely won't do it the third month. So those were the two characteristics that I loved the most. When I met with Rick, I started looking at, first of all, that all 6 categories are in the highest demand at this time in the healthcare industry. These are all multi-billion-dollar industries, each one. Sleep,
and what are those categories? Okay, yeah.
Cognitive decline, weight loss, neurotropic, all of these things are things that people wake up every day saying, man, I'm praying or I'm wishing that somebody will help me today, right? So that was what I was looking to first. Then I started looking at the scientific ingredients, and then I said, wow, he's selecting things that are unique, that are very hard to get to. Most products out in the marketplace, they're all shipping from China, and they're not even regulated as much in China as they are in the US. That's one of the things that we're trying to change in this industry. Let's have some accountability to what we put in that label and make sure that what we put in that label is what actually is in the product. But lastly is the mechanism of delivery. When I saw that he put a mechanism of GLP-1 in a natural substance, a food, in a caramel, I almost lost it.
Exactly.
Because I'm watching people take this caramel and saying, I'm not hungry anymore. And they felt like they were getting away because they were eating a candy, right? A natural candy that is super healthy, right? Non-sugar. And then I started looking at the gummies. And the gummies mechanism, what I love about it is the fact that people want to take something that is part of their lifestyle. Capsules are not part of our lifestyle. We have to think about eating a capsule. Powders are not part of our lifestyle. We have to think about opening the powder, making the smoothie. But a gummy, I carry it in my purse. I carry it in my pocket. I can eat gummies all day long. A caramel, I can carry that everywhere. So that's when I told Rick, you have something here that's much bigger than you think. Because I'm seeing the statistics of the chronic diseases. I'm out there promoting and making an awareness for people to make better choices. And he's got this solution sitting right here, and I got very excited.
Well, one of the things that you just said that resonates with me, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, like I'm a supplement guy, and I want to get into that in a second as well. But you mentioned patient compliance, right? And as a doctor, patient compliance is the problem. Like you can give a patient a solution, but if they're not going to use the solution, it's irrelevant. Lifestyle choices, compliance type issues. I love the way you're doing that. And you kind of touched on my question already, but what about the products makes that difference? My belief is that even the lifestyle things, you talk the caramels, you talk the gummies, the powders, all of the different delivery systems, which are super clever. And it allows people to pick which one they like best that fits their lifestyle. But my question for you is, when people deal with the compliance issue with supplements, what I have found, and people that I know who are big supplement people, is this idea that I've got to wait 30 days before I'm even going to notice a difference, or 60 days to notice a difference, even if I take it religiously every day. And what I find is what I call the aha moment. I'm a marketing guy. Okay, I'm a marketing guy. And every time I'm talking to somebody who's a supplement company or some other kind of medical device or anything really, it's like, okay, how long until the person feels the difference? Because the speed to what I call the aha moment is what's going to keep somebody compliant. Because if I take it, I notice it, I'm going to take it again. Because I don't have to build this weird ritual. It's the people who start a diet and don't lose a pound for 7 days. They're discouraged. They you know, that why bother? This isn't working. It's like, no, that's not the way physiology works. Blah, blah, like, no, people want to know that something happens fast and they want to be reminded we have short attention spans.
Amazon's helped program us for that.
I get mad if it's not here tomorrow.
Today. Yeah.
Today on some cases. Truthfully.
No, I know.
But when it comes to those types of supplements, like I'd say like my stomach's upset. I've got a particular digestive supplement that I take, and it's like, it is within an hour I am normal. And I'm like, I won't travel without it, because especially I'm on the road a lot, like you guys. Like I find it all the time that I end up in these weird situations where I'm like eating something I would never eat if I were at home, but I use it because I feel an instant relief.
Yeah.
Now with BrainIQ and the multiple different SKUs that you're dealing with, what is that aha? I mean, talk to me product by product, truthfully, because I'd like to know what this whole family of 6 verticals looks like.
Yeah. So, when you look at a global approach, right? My experience of working with big pharmaceutical and bioscience companies is they take a global approach and they create a wellness category that's going to be for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then they supplement, they provide medicine in many cases or supplementation for that 20-year run of health and wellness, that category they created. So we created 6 different categories: cognitive decline, which is focus, memory, support, short-term, long-term, and cognitive function.
Now, do you feel that when you use the product?
Yes, absolutely. And restorative sleep and weight loss, obesity. So we've chosen delivery methods that are consumable chewables, right? We only have, out of about 20 of our product lines, we have one that's a capsule, but you take it at night with a dream sleep gummy. So you're absolutely right. People, and particularly in weight loss, these programs, do this and you'll start noticing the difference in 2 months. No one cares about that, right? They're like, I need something that's gonna help me today, tomorrow. I have a wedding in a week. I have a graduation. I'm going to the beach, and summer's coming up in the month. So I live
in Florida. Summer's coming up for 12 months.
I'm jealous. I live in Idaho, so
oh yeah,
we have 4 months of nice weather. But we created a product line that's all consumable, that's sublingual absorption, like our GLP-1 natural weight loss fast melts. You chew them, it's absorbed through the mucous membrane, and we have people. Thousands of people. We had people this morning that took them before breakfast. I had over 30 people come say, I felt in 30 minutes. I didn't eat. I felt full in 30 minutes. That's what people want. They want to feel the effects quickly. And it's because of the delivery system that we've chosen across every product line in this company the onset rate. It's called the onset rate. The onset rate can be within 5 to 20 minutes of all of our products, including the weight loss, that you feel full faster.
So I'm a marketing guy, and we love the word instant.
Yep.
Okay, because instant immediately gets us to that, we're a fast food culture, right? If it's not out now, I'm angry.
TikTok, 5 seconds.
Absolutely. You get 3 seconds to grab my attention in an online ad, or I'm scrolling past you, right?
Yep.
We're in that instant gratification world, and it literally is just dopamine hit after dopamine hit over and over again. And if that didn't work, I'm going to go try something else. You say 5 to 20 minutes. That's amazing.
It is.
For that. I want either one of you, truthfully, because you mentioned a sublingual delivery, which is very different than people who take supplements, because if I'm taking capsules, that capsule has to survive the digestive process also. And people don't realize that a lot of what you take in a capsule or a tablet or whatever is actually getting metabolized as opposed to delivered to the rest of your body. So there's that. What's the difference? Because the GLP-1, let's go there for a minute.
Sure.
Maybe because I want a little. But the GLP-1 world, we're semaglutide injections, we're tirzepatide injections, right? We're all over the place with Ozempic shots, and the prices on them are from $50 to $1,200. And I think, what was the statistic I just heard the other day? 20% of the US population is currently using a GLP-1.
Absolutely, 20%.
Right, 80% ought to be, but 20% is. And they're all over the map. And I know people, one of my biggest concerns for people using GLP-1s is that they're never changing their habits. They're just doing something else. And granted, I'd rather deal with a sick, skinny person than a sick, fat person. Like, I 100%. With your GLP-1, what's the difference between people who are taking oral tablets versus sub-Q injections versus sublingual? What's the difference? Give me the science on that and why it matters.
So we actually compound GLP-1s as well, and 37 peptides. So we actually make GLP-1s.
Okay.
So I'm very experienced with how they work in the body.
Now you make those at BrainIQ?
No, FDA pharmacy.
Okay, so I
co-own part of an FDA pharmacy.
Okay, so that's
what I wanted. We make 37 peptides, and we compound GLP-1.
Okay, so you're actually the owner of an FDA pharmacy,
That's
co-owner,
right.
who is moving into a nutraceutical line here. So just to connect the dots for anybody listening, we're talking about Rick being a pharmaceuticals guy who uses all of the knowledge base and the experience in the pharmaceuticals industry, but you're now applying this in a nutraceutical model.
Absolutely.
Okay, which is
drug-free model.
Absolutely. So I love that, because you kind of got a foot in both worlds, and you understand the benefits of both. You're not anti one or the other, which makes a difference, right? Like, sometimes I see nutraceuticals people that are like, down with pharma. I'm like, look, if I go into a hospital and my leg is falling off, I want pharma lined up, right? like, bring it. Don't abuse it. And I think that's where we are right now, is the abuse of it.
Yeah, I think, there's big pharma has many amazing benefits to it, right? And 100%. I've worked in that space for 20 years. What we take is the science, the money that they put into understanding certain ingredients, how they work in the body.
Yeah.
Most drug products pass through the blood-brain barrier, right? Like Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's. It passes through the BBB within 30 to 60 seconds. That's the onset rate. That's why it's a medicine. That's why people get used to it. Just like a drug, right? Any other, like a chemical drug. So we took the approach, and I realized this about a year and a half ago, is that all the inherent 100% proven dangerous side effects from GLP-1s, right? Nausea, hair loss, vision. 8% of the people using Ozempic have now developed macular degeneration.
Wow.
8%. They do an amazing job at marketing GLP-1s, the big three drug companies. Again, we've compounded them, but I knew immediately from my background the inherent drug side effects: nausea, vision, hair loss, kidney failure. These are all on their websites. These are all proven side effects. So we wanted to quickly develop a GLP-1 safe, natural, clinically proven food that we created in a fast melt, and a fast melt caramel that's sugar-free, and a fast melt sugar-free vegan gummy that people can consume without taking the invasive shot. That's about a third of the cost to the patient, and the practitioner can make more money. So there's a natural, safe, clinically proven, in fact, we're 28 pounds in 10 weeks, clinically proven, double-blind placebo test that shows that if you chew 3 pieces a day, you're getting all the ingredients and three mechanisms of action, 3 ways our safe, natural GLP-1 works versus 1 with the drug. So when people take the GLP-1 drug, the mechanism of action, the way it works, is a hormone in your brain called leptin. And that hormone tells your body you're not hungry, so there's this satiety effect. You eat less, and so you start losing weight because you're taking in less calories. Our GLP-1 caramels work on the exact same hormone. Naturally, with fruit-based natural ingredients. The exact same hormone, but we're more effective.
So I need to ask you, Rick, so you're saying that everything we need to be healthy already exists in nature? Because this is weird. Wait, what?
Imagine that.
Wait, this can happen? I don't believe this.
Well, for me, one of the main things and the reason that I wanted to get involved is that I have seen that nutrition has gotten kind of stagnant out there for people. And I think it's because the public is demanding something a little bit more innovative. And that's why when I met Rick, I said, man, you're the most innovative nutrition expert that I've ever met.
I love the creativity.
And the reason is because of these deliveries. And my mission has always been to show people that there's always an option that has nothing to do with pharmaceutical and that potentially has nothing to do with the surgery. We know that 5% or so of all of healthcare is urgent care, where those things become a requirement, right? Just like you mentioned earlier, if you're a life-threatening disease, thank God that we have these pharmaceuticals and that we have these surgical procedures. My dad's life was saved with 21 surgeries over a period of a week, because of a problem he was having. And at the same time, when we look at the statistics, the chronic diseases make up about 90% of our healthcare costs. Those are primarily preventable and due to lifestyle choices. So if we can take innovative nutrition or food and bring it into the world, now they have an option that they can get excited about instead of thinking, what am I doing here? Yeah. And I want people to realize that this is all about having options and exercising whatever the option is the safest for your body first. So if you're thinking about losing weight, first thing I'm going to tell you is go exercise. Okay? But maybe you tried that and maybe it didn't work. Second thing I'm going to say is watch what you eat. Okay, maybe I'm trying that. But then again, I need something extra. All right, then we have something very well-researched that has effectiveness, that is actually all natural, because all of our products are natural. This is bringing the best of the other world into the natural space in a way, in a delivery that they can't wait to have another one,
I want to pivot yes, I agree with all of that. I've got two more questions I really want to ask you guys in our time. And first, you said a sleep product. Yeah. Okay, now one of the things that I know a lot of people do is, if I got a sleep issue, what do I do? People are overdosing on melatonin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of set up the question here for a second, because I'm going to say this overdose of melatonin, people don't realize, first of all, the right amount of melatonin is already being made in your body. And what other people don't realize is that melatonin needs to metabolize overnight. Otherwise, you end up with this wake up groggy problem. And the wake up groggy problem is happening because you're taking too much melatonin to try to sleep. Your body can't metabolize that much, and you're still dealing with melatonin in the morning, which you shouldn't be. People are overdosing on caffeine to counteract the grogginess that they're feeling from the melatonin, and then they can't sleep. So they take more melatonin, and I call this the caffeitonin cycle, because what's happening is we're causing a problem and then solving a problem and then causing a problem and solving a problem, and we get caught in this loop. Your sleep product, what is this, and do you fix that caffeitonin trap that people are caught in?
You're so knowledgeable. I mean, such a great question. 1 out of 3 Americans take a sleep aid every night now.
Yeah.
And melatonin, people overdose on melatonin, absolutely. So what we created, again, in a delivery form, is a sugar-free vegan gummy that you chew 15 minutes before you go to bed.
Okay, so this is not a 3 hours before bed kind of...
15 minutes. We tell people 15... Every trade show that we go to, the very first day, we give everybody free Dream Sleep gummies and say, take them tonight, so that the rest of the convention, because we know 100%, every one of them is going to come back the next day and buy from us and say, I got a great night's sleep.
Yeah.
Could we use the...
Instant.
The onset rate is in 15 minutes because we use 5 milligrams of melatonin, which has been clinically shown to be the right amount of melatonin. We use L-theanine and chamomile.
Okay.
All together in a chewable gummy. So when you chew it, it goes to the mucous membranes and you start feeling those effects within 15 minutes and you're sleeping. And most people say they dream in color and they sleep all night. You wake up, you're exactly right. You wake up, there's no grogginess and you're ready to go perform. we've actually took sleep to another level and called it restorative sleep. So you take a dream sleep gummy with one of our BrainIQ capsules. It's the only capsule form we have, but you can take it at night, so you get the 6 or 7 hours. We have 9 ingredients in the BrainIQ, from chaga mushroom to lion's mane to oligonyl, which is a derivative of lychee fruit. It's the highest antioxidant in the world for a fruit. We have
I was going to say, the carbon 60 folks are going to be up here fighting you if you say that too loud.
NAD. We put NAD in the capsule. So we believe you get this great 7 to 8 hours of restorative sleep from the Dream Gummy, and you're getting all the brain nutrients while you're sleeping. Is when you should. So when you wake up, you can go perform at your best.
And it's happening on a fasted stomach likely, which means
100%.
you're actually going to get a better absorption.
It's a new category that we're creating as part of the innovation with Dr. Fab as a partner in BrainIQ, is to educate people on safe, natural alternatives that really work, but are always enhancing your performance, as you mentioned at the very beginning. And we put NAD, we put the precursor NMN in every product that we have, because we believe in it so much that it converts your body into the NAD.
I take it daily. I'm a fan. I told you I've got my supplement kit. I just did a lecture a couple weeks ago, actually, to the executive team at Kroger grocery stores. And I'm like, wow, like this is a tough crowd. Like I'm here talking to a grocery store about how you don't get all the nutrition you need out of food. I'm like, this is a tough one. I'm like, but let's unpack it. Fab, I have one more question that I just want to ask you in our time, because I hear it happen all the time that people say about, you know, you've got this camp of this, I hate to say the Western medicine, Eastern medicine, pharma, nutra, like we create all these dichotomies. But I hear a lot of stories about people who've gone from the current Western healthcare system, if you will, and then they go into the natural, you know, whole foods, biohacking, again, whatever camp we want to, you know, pitch our tent in. I don't hear stories of many people ever going back. And I'm curious if that observationally matches what you know, because again, I don't see a lot of people from this natural health camp end up swinging back to pharmaceuticals. I don't see them swinging back to insurance-sponsored healthcare plans. Like I see them move over into this side of the world and away from the non-organic and away from the pharmaceutical, away from the cut and prescribe medical model, over to this natural preventative, energy-based, you know, and then, you know, the words that we all use. Observationally, do you see the same thing? Is that, am I right? Am I being myopic in the way that I see those things?
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I've had discussions about this subject with some of my scientific friends. And I have one in particular that is one of the top science experts in the world. And he said to me, the reason why the natural health sciences are so critical, because once the patient experiences that, they're more aligned with nature. Pharmaceuticals tries to mimic nature through synthetic means. Nutraceuticals try to align with nature without changing nature. We don't want to replace nature. We want to align with nature. So it's very difficult for your body to function when you're trying to replace what is naturally there, right? That's why drugs long-term are not sustainable. That's why they haven't cured any disease that we currently have. So the only time that I've ever seen a person from the Western world, pharmaceutical, traditional, educational realm, right, go into the natural space, but also feel that they have to go back to the other, is when we have medical doctors that all of a sudden develop a chronic disease that they can't solve through medicine. They go into our space and they find the solution. But then they feel like, how am I going to give up 20 years of medical education, practice? So they have to go back to that practice instead of. Now, we have had some that have become holistic providers, but for the most part, they have to go back to what they were trained to do, right? So that's the only time that I've seen it, but rarely would you ever see somebody that had gained benefit from a natural substance ever go back to a non-natural substance.
I could talk for another hour of what you mentioned about the alignment with nature, because I think I had a conversation just yesterday about this biofield frequencies that we vibrate on a level, and it's like when I'm vibrating at the same level as nature, that literally means I'm in harmony with my environment.
Yeah.
And if I'm out of harmony with my environment, that dissonance creates dishealth. Right?
Another way that Napoleon Hill, that wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, he used to say that once the mind expands, it never goes back to its original size, right? It's the same with the body, the same with the awareness of natural healthcare.
Yeah.
Natural healthcare, right, is about understanding that there's a more efficient, a more effective way to deal with our health problems than the traditional method. Once you experience that and you see it for yourself, you'll never go back.
Do you feel the same way I do, that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know?
Yeah. It's always the same thing.
Every day. Somebody's like, wow, you're so knowledgeable. And I'm like, don't ask me. Like, I know people who know so much more than me. And it's like, the more I know, that Socrates said the man is truly wise when he knows what he does not know. And I'm like, this guy.
The problem that we have is that, unfortunately, in my estimation, in the United States, we have about 80% of the people that are really driven through that healthcare system that is primarily created and structured in a way to only deal with conditions with pharma solutions.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that has not changed our numbers. In fact, we're getting worse. And unfortunately, it's made us rank one of the worst countries in the world, even though we spend far more money than any other country. You know, there's an insanity here that needs to be brought out to the public, and realize that we can't continue to do the same things again and again and expect different results.
It's insanity.
The reason that I'm so supportive of the MAHA treatment is because for the first time, I see a new level of thinking. I see a new level of behavior, which will yield a new outcome.
And it doesn't mean that everything that Maha says or does or whatever is going to align with everybody's personal values.
Yeah.
But we can't throw out the other 90% because of it.
Well, and also remember, when I talked to Bobby Kennedy and Del Bigtree, to me, what I said is, the way that I see the MAHA movement is really only a megaphone of millions of people that are frustrated because they're not getting the outcomes they need.
And that is
for
the
themselves
majority.
And their families.
And that is the majority. The majority of people want better health and better availability to things
we deserve it. We're supposed to be one of the leading countries in the world, and it's a lot healthier to live in just about 87 other countries.
Well, because our mortality rates continue to actually, our mortality rates go up, but our life expectancies in America are going down.
Yeah.
Did you say the children for the first time?
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, I mentioned in my lecture yesterday that for the first time in the history of humanity, we have a generation of children, our children, that have a shorter life expectancy than the parents. And I said,
that's crazy.
In my studies, and I lost an older brother at a very young age, and I saw the pain that it caused my parents. They never recover. They say it's the most painful experience you'll ever undergo. So why is it that we live in a culture right now that we're not addressing that? Because it's unthinkable to think that your child would not outlive you. It's unthinkable to think like that. It is. I mean, most parents will never even dare to think like that, but it's happening every single day. Children are dying every single day because of different challenges that maybe could have been prevented, maybe could have been reduced, but at least let's have some options out there that people can actually make informed decisions.
Yeah. Guys, it is a pleasure meeting you both and spending time, like getting involved in learning. And I watched your pitch on Thursday. It was great. And learning more about BrainIQ, I look forward to trying the products. I tried some of the gummies yesterday. They were great.
Thank you.
Look forward to trying the other ones. I'll swing by while we're here.
Yeah,
but
you up with everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you guys incredibly much for being here and joining us. Again, the product is BrainIQ. Look in the show notes. You'll see the links to get there and learn more about Rick and Dr. Fab. Check them out. We'll see you soon.